There is no one correct way to swim freestyle. However, there are 3 main styles of freestyle technique that you can master in order to become a swimming success. In this video, we're going to look at the 3 different styles of freestyle: high elbow, straight arm, and the gallop. We're going to break them down and help you understand when to use each technique in your next swim. The first freestyle technique I'm going to take you through today is a balanced hip-driven style, or otherwise known as high elbow freestyle. If you're a beginner swimmer, casual swimmer, or even a long distance swimmer, then this is going to be the freestyle technique for you. Now, there are several key elements of this technique to focus on: body position and rotation, high elbow catch and recovery, stabilizing leg kick, and integrated breathing. And we're going to start with body position and rotation, as this is the key element of this style which links everything together. You're looking to maintain a straight streamline from head to heels, keeping your head in a neutral position. And by that I mean looking down at the bottom of the pool, not forwards, and keeping it in line with your spine. This will help ensure that your hips and legs ride high on the water's surface to minimize drag and be as efficient in the water as possible. A high elbow catch and high elbow recovery are actually symptomatic of a good balanced freestyle technique. You're initiating the pull by catching the water with your fingertips, keeping your elbow high, and then using your entire forearm and hand as a single large paddle to press directly back on the water. One of the biggest aims for swimmers using this technique is to get as much distance per stroke as possible. And by rotating your hips as you pull, you're able to have a longer and stronger arm pull extending to your hips. Then, as your arm leaves the water, you're recovering again with a high elbow recovery to efficiently move from stroke to stroke, wasting as little energy as possible. Now, you often hear about a 6-beat leg kick, but for this technique, it isn't necessarily a necessity, especially for longer distances. As long as you are using a compact, steady flutter kick that originates from your hips and not your knees, with loose ankles, you are doing more than enough to succeed. And finally, you want your breathing to flow seamlessly into your body rotation to ensure that your hips and your legs don't drop in the water. Tie all of these elements together and you'll be swimming like the great Ian Thorpe in no time. Well, we can all dream, right? Now, balanced high elbow freestyle is great. It's never going to let you down in a long training session, maybe even a distance race, or even at open water level. But what if you want to swim as fast as possible? Well, that's where straight arm freestyle comes into play. Now, this looks exactly as it sounds. The arm action is constant, almost windmill-like. Just as one hand enters the water, the other hand exits the water behind you. Now, it does take a large amount of strength and energy to perform this technique competently, essentially because you're using your shoulder as one big long lever. And to be honest, that strength is going to come away from the swimming pool. It's likely to come in land sessions or even gym sessions if you want to perform this well. It's generally a less energy efficient form of freestyle and only for shorter distances, but performed correctly, and this is the fastest technique you'll experience through the water. Again, we can break down this technique into manageable steps and elements to help you succeed at it. This time, let's start with arm recovery and entry phase, as this is the leading factor in straight arm freestyle. Not body rotation as before. In fact, you're remaining relatively flat in the water for a freestyle technique. The recovery arm stays relatively straight, true to the name of this stroke, as it swings over the water, leading to a wider, more circular motion. The hand enters the water further out in front and often wider than the shoulder, sometimes with a slightly downward slap motion to immediately engage the water and start that underwater pull. The arm continues to remain largely extended or straight throughout the entire underwater pulling motion. The pull follows a deeper, semicircular or arc-like path towards the back, as opposed to the more direct press of the high elbow catch. Power is generated primarily from your shoulder and your chest muscles, relying on the long lever of a straight arm. As you don't rotate as much as the previous technique, there is less power and propulsion in each pull, but it does give the swimmer the chance to perform a quicker stroke rate, which is absolutely key as it makes up for the loss of hip-driven power. And because there tends to be a flatter rotation in the stroke, as we've discussed multiple times, breathing is kept to an absolute minimum, as it would take your body out of an optimum streamline. In fact, breathing isn't really recommended with straight arm freestyle at all. Now, I'm not saying don't breathe, but the elite swimmers who perform this one really won't. They will try to breathe as little as possible. And this does take a lot of training. So maybe for you, if you're just starting to learn straight arm freestyle, it's going to be best to start off at shorter distances first. Or you can use a snorkel to help you breathe while ensuring that your body alignment remains flat. And finally, finish this style of freestyle off with an intense leg kick. Continuous 6 beats is almost essential to providing significant propulsion and raising your hips high. Again, when you're first learning this technique, don't be afraid to use training aids to help sustain your efficiency. Even the best in the world will use fins to ensure that a kick is strong enough that it is not a detriment to the arm pull they are training. Like I've said, this technique uses up a lot of energy, and typically swimmers can only sustain a high stroke rate and straight arm freestyle for around about 50 to 100 meters before they start tiring and losing efficiency. So, is there a happy medium? Can we find somewhere between the need for speed of straight arm freestyle and the need for efficiency of high elbow freestyle? Well, the final technique I'm going to take you through is called the gallop stroke. Now, gallop freestyle is typically what you're going to see most competitive swimmers doing. Anything that ranges above 50 meters all the way to about 400 meters, maybe even further than that for swimmers who can perform it especially well. And in reality, it is the perfect combination of the two freestyle techniques that I've already taken you through in this video. The gallop technique involves breathing to only one side and has different speeds in which each arm recovers over the water. The breathing arm side is slower than the non-breathing arm side, with the breathing arm acting as the balance, hip-driven technique, and the non-breathing arm acting as the more shoulder-driven technique. Sounds a little complex, but essentially one arm's swimming one style, the other arm is swimming another style, and you're trying to marry the two of them up to balance strength and efficiency. Still confused? Well, let me take you through the stroke technique and show you what you're trying to aim to achieve when performing the gallop. Let's start with the breathing side of this stroke. The aim is to finish your breathing by pushing your head and breathing arm shoulder down under the water and extending your lead arm to help with body alignment and reduce drag. You're then going into the next stroke with as much momentum as possible from the head and shoulder rotation and the fast handle arm entry. It's very much a hip-driven arm pull like the traditional high elbow freestyle. And talking of high elbow freestyle, your catch under the water for this is very similar. High elbow, fast to the hips. Conversely, on your non-breathing side, you're still catching with a high elbow, but your shoulder is going deeper in the water, as this is where your power is coming from. In all likelihood, you're likely to be pulling in a wider motion as well, as your hips aren't as connected and you're a little flatter in the water. Now, the power of rotation on your breathing side and the asymmetrical timing can lead to a little bit of a bouncing motion in the water or a little bit of a wave. It sounds a little inefficient, but the best in the world use this to get a very high body position in the water and breathe quickly and often. The quicker arm turnover happening on the breathing side allows swimmers to get air without disrupting the natural rotation that the gallop stroke brings and keeping a swimmer in a streamlined position. Now, this is a very tough technique to get right, and it's going to take a lot of work on to get the timing correct. But if you're wanting to give it a try, we've got another video where we break down one of the very best swimmers in the world at this technique, Olympic champion and former world record holder David Popovich. We take a deep dive into what makes his gallop technique so special, and if you're wanting to learn from the best, go check that video out. Okay, so those are the three main styles of freestyle and how to swim them, very briefly. So let us know in the comment section below which one you're going to be trying at your next swimming session. And if you've got any questions from your attempt or before you go and swim, let us know in the comment section below and we'll be sure to answer them all as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching this video from Propulsion Swimming. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you can stay up to date with more techniques, tutorials, and advice for your next swim. But until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bring it.